welcome into the show. It is Daniel Workman coming to you live from the Dreamadginate Sports Studios. It is 9 a.m. on the East Coast. This is your 6 a.m. super early morning wake-up call. Welcome into the show. Tonight is our first SoccerWorks TV live special. We talked about it the last couple days on the show. SoccerWorks TV live special, and we are excited to have some members of the panel tonight that I think you're going to get a lot from. We're going to have some from State Association or two. We're going to have some other guests who have been covering the game and covering the media coverage of the game for quite a while. We're also going to have some guests on concerning governance and transparency, and so I think there's going to be a really good, well-rounded conversation looking at where we are and what is going on in this country with American soccer, with the U.S. Soccer Federation. And I think it's important to do that, to see through all different angles, all different lenses, what is going on in this country. One of the things that is clear to see, and I think this may be one of the topics that comes up tonight, is the women's national team is a force to be reckoned with. Carlos Cordero learned that painful lesson last week, and the Federation is going to continue to learn that lesson as we go forward. Do you continue to poke the bear? Do you continue to push back in a way that brings heat and pressure upon yourself as a federation? Now, it appears to be first comments, what limited comments we've had from Cindy Parlow-Cone, the new president of U.S. Soccer, what limited comments we have received, as well as those who know her have said that, she wants the language to change. Now, does that translate into a settlement? Does that translate into, being on the same page with what the U.S. women's national team players are pushing for? We don't know that. Cindy Parlow-Cone has been a member of the Federation, an insider with the Federation for a long time. So we don't really know publicly where she stands on the actual merits of the case. We do know that she has voiced displeasure over the comments and the language and the tactics used that ultimately led to Carlos Cordero's resignation last week. So she is on record saying she's not a fan of that. She's on record saying that did not represent what she believes as what the Federation should stand for and what she personally stands for, and she called those things errors. However, we don't really know on record where she stands on the issue. We have received no real clarity on that, especially in the last few days. And one of the things that is continuing to be a problem in the first few days of her leadership as president of U.S. Soccer is the continued lack of communications coming from Cindy Parlow-Cone, coming from the Federation. This is more of the same, this lack of transparency. You would think with the changing of the guard that we would be proactive as a federation in trying to provide media availability and really say, hey, we are turning the page, we are taking these things seriously, that we are really working hard to fix what is messed up. And don't mistake that. There are a lot of things here that are messed up. And there's not simple fixes to some of these things because they've been allowed to happen for so long. However, all of that being said, we still don't know. And so there's a lot of questions surrounding this. On the blog yesterday, we put out an article and asked this kind of central question. What did they and when did they know it? You know, what is really going on? What has been going on? Who got the brief? Who saw the brief? Who knew the legal strategy? Who all involved with the Federation were aware of this? This didn't just happen, last week. This has been an ongoing situation. The legal team within U.S. Soccer at the board meetings that I've been around have always, been forthright with some updates, and I would assume that being that they are lawyers, that they would always be trying to do their diligence and make sure that everyone understood what they were doing and what their tactics were and how they were trying to go about their business and providing updates to the board of directors. So it's troubling to hear all of these comments and denials from the board saying we didn't know. Number one, as I said, since this news broke, that's a problem. You should know. Now, I'm not saying you should have read every letter of a legal briefing, but you should know generally what's going on. You should be able to answer basic questions from a member of U.S. Soccer, from the media who's covering U.S. Soccer, from a fan of the sport. You should be able, if you were to run, into someone at a restaurant or at a gas station or at a soccer park, you should be able to answer that question. If you're a board member, like, hey, what is the basic strategy here? And does it mean that you would have to reveal where the compromising line is, where you think a fair deal would be, but you should at least know what the legal strategy is. You should know what kind of case that you're trying to take up against the U.S. women's national team in this regard. And so the fact that you didn't know as an officer, in the case of Cindy Parlow-Cone as vice president, as well as the other board members, that's a problem. It's a big problem to me, and I think it's something that we have to look at and really get an idea of what's going on and what has gone on, and more importantly, what needs to go on in the future. What kind of policies and provisions need to be put in place so that this doesn't happen again. So we're going to get into a lot of those things tonight on the live special, kind of where we are, what's going on. These people are from all over the country who are going to be able to give some insight and a look into the state of American soccer. And it's not just going to be about the U.S. women's national team case. A lot of things where U.S. soccer is simply failing. Diversity, inclusion, opportunity, access. There's so many kind of big, broad words that we can use to describe so many issues plaguing the Federation, and that is simply a leadership problem. It begins and ends with leadership. If the leadership is fixed, if the leadership is improved, issues begin to get solved. This is the law of leadership. This is the principle of leadership at work. If you're ever in an organization, if you're ever in a situation where things aren't going well, it's always a leadership problem. Maybe someone's not owning up. They're not taking a responsibility. Maybe there's not accountability in place. Whatever the case may be, it's always a leadership problem. Someone somewhere can own it, take responsibility for it, and fix it. It's always a leadership problem. One of the things that is disturbing about this current situation with all of the things going on is the fact that the board of directors has no mechanism in place in the bylaws of U.S. Soccer for a recall, to a vote of no confidence, to essentially vote out the board of directors. The only mechanism that I've been able to find is that the board of directors amongst themselves can vote someone out with a 75% threshold of the board. Well, what if the whole board needs to go? What if half the board needs to go? There's not enough votes there. So there are some fatal flaws in governance of U.S. soccer that need to get fixed. And the membership need to get serious about fixing those. They need to begin working together, having conversations with one another, preparing for policy proposals, bylaw proposals, and maybe a combination of bylaw and policy proposals going forward to fix these fatal flaws. The Federation should be able to vote people out. The Federation membership should not be beholden to a board gone rogue. They should have more power in who is on the board and how long they're allowed to be there. They should not be able to be there in perpetuity, and they should not be able to be there and be untouchable. That is a big issue here. And without transparency, without oversight, without accountability, you create and breed an environment and a culture that works against good governance. It rewards bad stewardship. It rewards bad leadership. It ultimately creates scenarios like what we're seeing here, where board members who should know don't know, or at least they're saying publicly they don't know. It's created situations where board members have gotten too comfortable with status quo. Now, I want to tell you a story of something I personally witnessed at the U.S. Soccer AGM in Nashville just a few weeks ago. I attended the board meeting, and I sat directly behind Sunil Gulati, who at the time was still on the board as past president. Directly across from me was Don Garber, the commissioner of Major League Soccer and the CEO of Soccer United Marketing, which is the second company of Major League Soccer. The owner-operators of Major League Soccer own two companies, MLS and Soccer United Marketing. Soccer United Marketing handles the commercial and media rights for the federation. So Don Garber is on the board of directors for the nonprofit national governing body of the sport, and at the same time makes millions of dollars off of his deal as CEO of Soccer United Marketing with that same federation. And he's sitting directly across from me. During this AGM, there were several policy proposals as well as some bylaw proposals. And one of them had to do with the professional leagues and professional league standards. And Sunil Gulati decided that he wanted to have a little bit of a conversation about the pro league standards and talk about how they were originally created and why he didn't like the proposal in front of him. As soon as he starts to talk, Don Garber looks up, and I'm sitting right behind Sunil, and he sees me, and right to my right, his left, looking across at us, was Chris Kessel. And Chris is also sitting there behind Sunil Gulati. Don Garber looks our way and immediately says to Sunil, look, I don't need to be in here while you're having this conversation. And he made a big show of this, that I'm going to recuse myself. This is a conflict of interest. I don't need to be in the room. So he's making a show of this, and he says, I'm just not comfortable with this, and goes on to say that to Carlos Bocanegra, who is sitting a couple seats down from Sunil Gulati, that you and I need to get up and go out. And he turned to Alec Papadakis. Alec Papadakis, who is the owner of the USL, who at the time was still on the board. Alec, look, you do what you want to. My advice would be to leave with us, but it's up to you. You do what you want to. So Alec gets up, Don gets up, and Carlos gets up. And Don says to Carlos Bocanegra about getting up, and to Alec, he said, look, I can't make you do anything. It's up to you. But Carlos, you have no choice. You have to get up and leave. Now, why does Don have her around? And why is this a problem on the board? Because Carlos Bocanegra works for a team within Major League Soccer. He works for Atlanta United. And in their downline, in their chain of leadership, Don Garber outranks Carlos Bocanegra. So even if Carlos wanted to sit in that meeting and listen to that conversation, Don was adamant that he needed to leave. Ultimately, all three left. And they weren't gone very long. Sunil was complaining that they were leaving in the first place, and it really wasn't a lot that he said and all of that. I just felt like it was a big show, much ado about nothing at the moment. But, on principle, those three probably didn't need to be in the room anyway. However, what was really troubling to me was that situation. Don Garber, a board member, able to tell another board member, Bocanegra, around. And why is this a problem on the board? Because Carlos Bocanegra works for a team within Major League Soccer. He works for Atlanta United. And in their downline, in their chain of leadership, Don Garber outranks Carlos Bocanegra. So even if Carlos wanted to sit in that meeting and listen to that conversation, Don was adamant that he needed to leave. Ultimately, all three left. And they weren't gone very long. Sunil was complaining that they were leaving in the first place, and it really wasn't a lot that he said and all of that. I just felt like it was a big show, much ado about nothing at the moment. But, on principle, those three probably didn't need to be in the room anyway. However, what was really troubling to me was that situation. Don Garber, a board member, able to tell another board member what he had to do. How does that translate to votes? See, Carlos Bocanegra is not on the board as a member of the professional council. He's on the board as a member of the athlete council. Not on the board as a member of the professional council. He's on the board as a member of the... Don Garber has dominion, has authority over a board member representative of the athlete council. So are the athletes being represented in that moment? The third of three athlete members on the board is beholden to Don Garber? That in that way and in that moment, he had no choice but, and they need to come, these bylaws and policies need to come from the membership. Just as they did this year, they need to come back again with more and more and more, because this board is rogue. They've been rogue. And so far, despite what seems to be Cindy Parlow-Cohen's intentions, according to those who know her and are rooting for her and are celebrating her ascension to the presidency of U.S. Soccer, very little has changed in the public eye. We need to see action. And we need to see conflicts like this be resolved in a way that is good for the game. Having a board member have the authority to essentially tell you what to do and how to vote and when you can be in the room and when you can't be in the room, which is essentially what Don did. He flexed for everyone to see. That essentially, right off the top, told everyone, Don has 2 votes on the board, not just 1. And that's a problem. There are so many conflicts with American soccer. To follow the conversation and follow this live special that we are doing, it is something that we are very excited about, and it's the first live special we've done. SoccerWorks, as we've talked about the last couple of days, is the predecessor to this show, and now it's taking on a new form and a new format, and we're making plans, and we are working on this becoming a regular thing. It may not be on Thursdays, but we're looking at it becoming a regular TV show that covers different aspects of the game in a little bit different way, in different format than this show that happens each and every day, weekday in the mornings. This is more of a radio style show. We can get into interviews, and we talk to people, and we talk through the game and go into some of that. But the SoccerWorks as a TV show is gonna be able to do even more, take us deeper, and take us to stories that we may not be the right fit for a radio style show. And it's going to give us the ability to do that. Tonight is kind of going to be a kind of a town hall kind of feel. We're working on opportunities for you as the audience to interact with us and to submit questions and comments as well. So we're working through some of those logistics. Please be patient if we're not able to do and get everything done. But I can tell you that tonight you will be able to still hit me up with DMs on Twitter, DMs on Instagram. And so if you have a question, if something else isn't working, there's going to be a fail-safe way for you to get a question submitted or to make a comment. And we're going to try to include some of those as much as we can on the show. But we're going to have people from all over the country as guests on this panel, and we're going to lay out some different things. And we're excited about that. We're excited about YouTube, to Vimeo, to probably Facebook and some others, to be able to watch the show on your preferred platform and on your preferred device as much as we possibly can. We're building this thing out, BegaTV.com. It is a digital soccer channel project we've been working on for some time. It's still going to take a while, and so please be patient. It's completely free. And our intentions at this point is to keep it completely free for as long as we possibly can, because we feel like the content needs to be available for you, and it's important to get it out to the public. So please share tonight, share today. If you see any of the graphics that we're putting out on our social media platforms, share those, retweet those. I think it's going to be a really, really good live special tonight that we have planned to really dig into a lot of different aspects of American soccer. Obviously, the hot button topic is going to be the U.S. women's national team case and the upheaval within the board. That's going to be a big topic, but there's a lot of other places I think for us to go, and I look forward to having those conversations this evening, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on BegaTV.com. This is a SoccerWorks TV live special. It is. talking about before. How are you? How are you doing with all of this stuff going on in the world? You holding up okay?
I mean, it's just everyone's at home as well.
We are as well, and today began kind of the full-on shutdown of local services and schools and things to try to get a better handle on things locally where we are. So it'll be interesting how the community holds up here over the next few days and weeks as the country tries to kind of come together and at least slow down the spread of the coronavirus, and that really. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring you on during this time is this is actually, I think, a good time for families who are going to be spending more time together to do a project that we brought you on to talk about before, and you've taken it up another notch, another phase of this project, and that is the kick wall, and so I have. Seen your work and seen the site that you've launched recently, kickwalls.com, and tell us a little bit about why you went this next level up to create a site. How has the response been over the last few months, and is that what really contributed to you taking this next step with the website?
Yeah, so sure. I mean, the last few months have been great. So, for the last 2 years or so, I've been using Twitter to promote kick walls, and it just started with, posting a wall that I built and having my son use. Last
time to build these extraordinary world-class, I don't know what other descriptors we can use, kick walls. And for those watching, this is like complete and utter sarcasm here. I am using. You have done a great service to the soccer community in all reality by essentially open sourcing kick walls and creating a nice and easy template for people to be able to follow. On the site, you've got the plans right there. You've got a pick list of materials, to make it easy. I have sent it. I'm coaching a team right now. I sent this to the team I'm coaching. I know I've already got one family that are working on one of their own, and I'm sure there's others that will be getting to this over the weekend as well. How has the response been so far to kickwalls.com and now having this as kind of a public resource for everyone to see?
Yeah, so, just through analytics, so, I launched the site on Saturday, so what are we, 4 days in or so forth? So I think there's been about 9,000 unique visits to the site, which I think is pretty good for starters. And then in addition, I'm still using Twitter, so, I'll still post a video or, a comment here or there, and then link to kickwalls.com. So I think the reception's been great. There's been lots of kick walls where people have posted since Saturday. And I'm sure there's more to come, at least based on
those, and then obviously links to others who have done this themselves. What was your overall kind of vision when you were building these first kind of bits and pieces?
Yeah, I think there's things down the road. I haven't really fully thought through that, but for the initial site, it was really, the use case was simple, have an easy domain, like I said, so kickwalls.com was available, so that seemed to be, a natural fit. Make the plans easily accessible and basically, post some videos showing the wall being used. And then obviously testimonials are what I call more kick walls, so that, other folks that have built the walls. But that was pretty much it, just get the plans up. And then just have other people, start finding the site, either through, search engines or just me promoting it more through social media or having other people, promote it through social media. What I've heard over the last few days too is kind of like what you just said, is that, you've sent it out to a team that you've coached or you coach. I've heard a lot of other people say that they've either, posted it on their own club's website or sent it to, parents of a particular team that they're coaching. And so I'm hoping that'll just kind of springboard into, more and more views, and then obviously more and more kick walls being used. And I'll also just say, some people always come back and say, well, why do you need to build a kick wall? Just go find the side of a building or side of a house. And I'm all for that too, right? If you have a brick building that you can bang a wall off of, by all means do it, right? But if you don't, here's a wall that's been used, thousands of hours by my son. Hundreds and hundreds of people have built it, and they seem to like it. And it's kind of the right size, right cost. Fairly
organic. The response of the website, the views of the website, the interest in this, and I think people are seeing that it's purely about the game and being a resource to the community and quite frankly a resource to the country. It's something we need a lot more of, and I think that you're seeing that response little by little. Whenever you have interacted with people who have built the kick walls, this is something that I wanted to talk to you about today. In using the launch of the website, I think is a good barometer for this as well. How has the response been once they've built the kick wall? What kind of feedback have you gotten in terms of, the players, the amount of time they're spending, the improvement of their touches, whatever? What kind of feedback have you gotten from parents and from players who have built a kick wall and are employing and using that kick wall on a regular basis?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So for the most part, a lot of the walls that have been built have been the last, 3 to 6 months. So, it would be kind of a short, data point to figure out whether the walls themselves are lending themselves to, kids getting better. My hypothesis is
obviously, but there's something about a wall, and this is why I think this project resonates so much and so well with so many. Is but we would just always have fun with that, and that, watching that kind of soccer version of this start to play out with kids around the country. There's a different feel that you get when you're getting a rebound off of a wall versus a bungee corded kind of rebounder, or a parent, a brother, a sibling. Not to say that there isn't value, and I know that you have spent many an hour out on the field, passing and playing with your kids, but there's nothing that can replicate the interaction between a player, a ball, and a wall. It just brings a different aspect to player development. Dennis Bergkamp talked about this a ton. Johan Cruyff talked about this a lot, about just the ball and the wall kind of aspect of growing up. And I was reminded of that recently when I was in Amsterdam, in the area of Amsterdam where Johan Cruyff grew up. There's a giant mural on the side of a brick wall, which is just kind of perfect because it just goes right in with that philosophy of just spending hours in love with the ball, playing it off of hard surfaces like this kick wall, and having that interaction I do for my kid. There's tons of activities, tons of camps, tons of situations where you can drop hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars in an effort to support your child. How much, you mentioned before, but I just want to bring this up again. How much material wise are we looking at to build one of these kick walls? And obviously the plan is free. Yeah. So,
you need a sheet of plywood cut down. So a sheet of plywood, a 4 foot by 8 foot sheet of plywood would get you 3 kick walls, 3 faces. But you can also buy like a 2x4 sheet of plywood and have it trimmed down a little bit. Or some people just have scrap plywood laying around. But like the all-in cost is between like $35 and $40. So that would include, the plywood for the one wall, the 2x4s, the 2x6s, and then screws. So all in $35 to $40. It's about an hour if you know what you're doing. It'd be a little longer if you don't. I've kind of said on the website too, if you don't feel comfortable, more than likely someone that does, and buy them a case of beer, bottle of wine, do something, and I'm sure they'd be happy to build it. But yeah, to your point, the original wall that we have is still up. It's weathered. It's getting old. We've never painted it. We've never stained it. It's not pressure treated. I kind of like the fact use it. You can come back in, he could play with his friends, he could play with his brothers, he could go back out later. It's there. And like, we don't have the advantage of having a brick building near us or anything else that would be accessible for him to kind of just go out and, use a wall. And I think that's where
proximity is something you just brought up, and that's something that I don't think gets talked about enough when we talk about player development. Yes, you can get to a field somewhat easy for a lot of families that may live close to a field. They can find a place, but it's usually a vehicle getting you there. It's not necessarily walking to a backyard or riding your bike and there's a soccer field or at least a field that you could get out and train in that you do productive work. And if you're a player that's more serious about your craft and development. The idea of proximity to me is so important in this case because, I see it with my own kids. The idea of being close to the tools and resources, those tools and resources that they're close to are the ones they're going to use most often. And the idea of them doing work, doing development is going to happen in a greater way in terms of frequency if those tools are closer to them. So this is why I'm such a big believer in your project here with kick walls, because when you're looking at different things that you can do for your kids, as I brought up a few minutes ago, you can pay for them to play in a club. Yes, you can do private training. Yes, you can take them to the park. There's a lot of things you can do as parents, and parents across the country do a lot of great things for their kids to try to get them more support and get them more time on the ball and, all of those things. Those are all great. But having a kick wall in your driveway, your backyard, basement, your garage, whatever, that's there all the time, as you just mentioned, organizing a kick wall day. And I don't know if that's crossed your mind yet about, a campaign for kick wall day, but I think it would be a great thing if we picked a day a day of the year, or maybe a day in the fall and a day in the spring to build a campaign around for clubs to promote to their kids and their families that, hey, look, we're all going to build kick walls on this day. Here's the plans. Here's, obviously what it costs, as you laid out, $35 to $40 a kick wall, and really, make it a bigger priority, because it is such an invaluable resource and tool for players. Is that something you've thought about, building a campaign around kind of a kick wall day for clubs and families to participate around, maybe on an annual basis?
Yeah, so I can't say I thought of a specific day, but I definitely started reaching out to clubs, and kind of before the last few weeks, it would have been more of a spring type of thing, right? As spring season started, getting clubs involved. But at this point now, at least currently, it'll be, individuals building them, but definitely involving clubs. If you go to kickwalls.com on the more kick walls, you can see kind of the first tweet from that is actually a club from Real, Colorado. So, that was a 2011 boys team.
I think it's a great thing. I really do, and I appreciate you putting the time and effort that you have into building the website. And really kind of starting this campaign and resources. I know that I had one of the dads from our team reached out to me yesterday and was looking to start one of these projects, and he is not a handyman, the self-described, and I can commiserate with his lack of handyman-ness. I don't know if that's a word, but we're going with it. And so he was asking, what are the angles? And I'm pretty good at math, and so I was sitting there and I was thinking, like, it's probably 45, not because I know anything about construction, but more the math side. And I checked in with you, and you confirmed the 45-degree angle. So I'm pretty hopeful that when he goes to build this thing, it's gonna turn out right. And he was taking his list to the store to pick up supplies yesterday. So I appreciate you doing this, putting this together, and building the website. It's a great resource, and I think everyone needs to go there. Kickwalls.com. This is kickwalls.com. And as James mentioned, you can find out some information about it. You can see the plans. As you can see a little bit of that on the screen right now. There's some videos you can watch, and obviously see some other testimonials on the More Kick Walls page as well, and more of those are being added all year. And I would definitely be all in favor of promoting that and supporting that. And like I said, it's great what you've already done, and I've watched you support this and kind of build this campaign organically on social media. Now with the website, it's continuing to build, and I hope more and more people take advantage of it at kickwalls.com. James, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
All right, thanks. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you. That is James Brown, and he's a creator of kickwalls.com, and he's been building this movement for a while. You should join it at kickwalls.com. We'll be right back after this.
No one, no man, no woman, no child should ever have to drink green water with bugs, with algae, with disease in it. Bad water and a lack of toilets kills more people than all the wars in the world. We know how to bring clean drinking water right now to every single person on earth. And when you can bring water into communities, it truly transforms them. It changes everything. Or you could know that you'd made a difference. You could know that you had truly impacted
the big night. Our special on BegaTV.com, and you can find links to other platforms there as well. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is our first live special for SoccerWorks TV, and it's something we've been dreaming about for a while, talking about for a while. It's going to be a little bit different set than we're normally going to use, because we're still kind of following guidelines and lockdowns and so on and so forth, but we're slowly working our way towards trying to do as much as we can with as limited of a problem that we can in terms of the future with a set and so on and so forth. But tonight we will have the show, the live special, SoccerWorks TV, Thursday tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't miss it. Set an alarm. Share this in our graphics that are on social media. Share those tweets, pictures on Instagram, whatever that you can find. The SoccerWorks TV special. We would be very grateful if you did. And we're going to go in a lot of different directions. Really excited about that, and looking forward to a great night with our panel from all over the country. So this our first SoccerWorks TV live special. He does a lot in West Virginia for soccer, and he does a lot for American soccer, and has done so over the years. But one of the things that people miss about Chris is how much he really does on the front lines. And it's a lot like what you see here with the kickwalls.com project with James. These guys are out giving of themselves. Free, futsal nights with Chris. They have gone in the past and found ways to take parks and set up kind of street soccer, futsal type setups. They've gone in gyms, and they've always done it and tried to keep it free and available and accessible, and opportunities for kids to get involved and play. just like this Kick Walls project. And there are people like this all over the country, and I love highlighting their stories. It is so great to see, and to see what they do for their communities. And I love celebrating them. I love highlighting them, and I hope you'll take some time to go to kickwalls.com. Maybe you can download the plans for yourself, build some walls, maybe donate to a neighbor. Maybe you don't even have a kid. Maybe you could just build one for your neighbor or something. But like, take advantage of it, and let's spread some good cheer. We need some of that right now. There's so much uncertainty in the world. Leagues are being put on hold. The USL making the announcement yesterday that the USL change. It's serious. It is so serious. But they're looking at it going, hey, let's try to limit the damage as much as possible. And so they're following the recommendations of the CDC and trying to keep, the CDC knows this, governments know this. And so the USL Championship and other leagues around the world are all looking at this going, okay, how do we limit the damage? How do we make this work? And so we're going to be in a time of uncertainty for a while. And there are things like this Kick Walls project that we could do right now while we're in this downtime, in this weird season, and maybe you could make some extras, right? I mean, if it's $35-$40, maybe you could make 2 of them. Maybe you can make 3 of them. And I'm not suggesting you make them and then you go sell them. Keep the spirit of the Kick Walls project alive. Go and make them and donate them, or trade them for a case of beer, or trade them for maybe the cost of the materials. But let's keep this great, generous spirit alive surrounding this Kick Walls project. I love it. I think it's a great project, and I think our players in this country would benefit tremendously by getting on the ball and having these touches and being able to interact a ball on a wall. So I appreciate James coming back on to talk about the new phase of this campaign, which is kickwalls.com. And you probably, you heard me a few times talk about, hey, maybe we should have a, build a kick wall day type of campaign. And I would love to see the growth of this campaign. And it started out as an organic thing, and to see it now is awesome. So, just really looking forward to seeing that campaign grow. And I really appreciate, ahead of time, I'm just going to tell you right now, thank you for watching tonight. Even if you didn't plan on it, I'm just going to hold out hope that you're going to change your mind or change your plans, and you're going to watch our first ever SoccerWorks live TV special, SoccerWorks TV live special tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with our panel from all over the country on begatv.com, begatv.com. I'm just going to say that ahead of time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support for this show, for what we're doing with Bega TV. We look to build even more content and programming out for you. And tonight is the next chapter in that is doing this live TV special. So we are really excited to bring it to you live tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on begatv.com, our SoccerWorks TV live special. So thanks for watching the show. As always, look forward to seeing everyone again tonight on our special. And if